For today's explainer, we're heading out to a pretty remote corner of the world, an archipelago that is completely defying a huge global trend. In an era where we see so many rural communities shrinking, this one place isn't just holding on, it's actually thriving. And it's all thanks to a really radical vision for the future, one that's powered by the sun and the wind. So the big question is, how did they pull this off? I mean, how does a community spread across more than 1,000 islands, a place most people had probably written off, manage to slam the brakes on population decline and actually put it in reverse? Well, the answer is kind of brilliant, and it's a real game changer. So let me introduce you to Shinan County, South Korea. It's this beautiful archipelago often called the 1004 Islands. And for a long, long time, it was living that all too familiar story of young people leaving and the population just slowly fading away. But then something shifted. For the last 2 years running, its population has actually been growing. What in the world is their secret? Well, that secret has a wonderfully simple name. It's called the Sunshine and Wind Pension. And really, it's a complete rethink of a fundamental question. When we build a green energy future, who actually gets to profit from it? It all comes down to this core concept, development profit sharing. So instead of the old model where some big corporation comes in, builds a solar farm, and all the money flows out of the community, Shinan decided to flip the script. They made a system to ensure the wealth generated from their sun and their wind is shared directly with the people who actually live there. And here's how it works for a resident, and this is the genius part. First, a local co-op is set up for the energy project. Then people who live there can join as shareholders. But, and this is key, their investment is secured using the power plant itself as collateral. This means there's zero personal financial risk. So once the profits start coming in, about 30% of it gets paid out directly to the residents. Simple as that. This really shows you just how different this is. The old way of doing things was a one-way street, right? A company uses local land, local sun, and the profits get shipped off to some corporate headquarters far away. But the Shinan model, it creates this amazing positive feedback loop. It turns the island's greatest natural gifts into wealth that stays right there in the community. Okay, so that's the idea. It sounds pretty great in theory, but does it actually work in the real world? Let's dig into the tangible impact, because the numbers here, they're honestly pretty staggering. Get this. By the end of this year, the total amount of money paid out to residents through this sunshine pension will be more than 220 billion won. To put that in perspective, that's around 160 million US dollars. This isn't some small-time experiment. This is a massive transfer of wealth going directly into the pockets of everyday people. And this isn't just some abstract total. These are real numbers for real people. On Anjwa Island, for instance, residents got anywhere from about 680,000 to 2.7 million won just last year. If you're a family getting that kind of extra stable income every single year, well, that's not just nice, it's life-changing. And here's what that looks like on a human level. This is a quote from a young woman, Seo Boram. She had left her home island to go to the city, but then she decided to come back. She says, "I returned to my home island and earned an urban-level salary growing flowers. It was amazing." This policy isn't just about handing out checks. It's about creating real, viable, and attractive lives for people outside of the major city. And the impact is just huge. We're talking about 43% of the entire population getting these benefits. There's even a special Sunshine Child allowance for every kid under 18. And remember that population growth we talked about? This is why. People aren't just deciding to stay, they're actively choosing to move to Shinan from all over the country. Now, this new economic stability has kicked off something even bigger. You could say the money is like a fertilizer that's causing this full-blown revival, a cultural, culinary, and even environmental renaissance that's sweeping across the islands. I mean, just look at their event calendar. A few years ago, these might have been very quiet places. Now they're bursting with life all year round. You've got massive flower festivals for tulips and plum blossoms in the spring, lavender in May, hydrangeas in June. It's a place that is just buzzing with energy and activity, and it's drawing in tourists and building this incredible sense of local pride. And this new confidence, this new investment, it's popping up in the most amazing ways. For example, let's just talk about oysters for a second. I absolutely love this story. So there's this local premium oyster brand called the 1004 Oyster, and they set this wildly ambitious goal for themselves to get their oysters served in a fancy restaurant at the very top of Korea's tallest building. And you know what? They did it. Shinan's local products are now so high quality, they're showing up in Michelin-starred restaurants. It's incredible. And you see this ripple effect absolutely everywhere. The famous Purple Island is now a top tourist destination in the whole country. New museums are opening up. The residents themselves are taking art classes to sketch their own beautiful towns. And they're creating these totally unique foods, like a de patera. It's a green onion castella cake that you literally can't find anywhere else. This is what a real grassroots, thriving local economy looks like. So, with all this success, you have to ask, what's next for Shinan? And maybe more importantly, is this a model that could actually work in other places? Well, it turns out the sunshine was just the beginning. The next huge phase is all about wind energy. And we're not just talking about a few turbines. The plan includes massive offshore wind farms and even really innovative floating wind projects that are going to absolutely dwarf what they're doing now. And the potential payoff here is just enormous. This new wind pension is projected to bring in 300 billion won. That's over 220 million US dollars every single year for the residents by 2030. This is going to take the entire program to a completely different level. And here's the thing. This isn't just about the money. It's about doing right by the planet. Their projects are already cutting almost 470,000 tons of CO2 every year. And because they're proving that what's good for people can also be great for the planet, they're winning all these prestigious international awards, including ones recognized by the UN. The world is really starting to take notice. So when you boil it all down, it's not magic. It's a blueprint. It's a clear strategy that other places could follow. You take your natural assets like sun and wind and turn them into shared wealth. You make sure residents can participate and have ownership without personal risk. You build a real partnership between the government, private companies, and the citizens. And then you reinvest that success back into making the community an even better place to live. Which brings us to our final provocative question. Shinan has shown everyone what's possible when a community takes charge of its own energy future. And it really makes you wonder, what natural resources does your community have? And who is really benefiting from them? Shinan gives us a really powerful vision for a more local, more prosperous, and more sustainable world. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.